The morning fog rolled in from the sea like a gray blanket covering the small fishing town. Kang Do-hyun stood at the window of his tiny clinic, holding a cup of cold coffee. He had forgotten to drink it again. He forgot many things these days. He was 42 years old, but he looked older. His hair had started turning gray at the temples, and there were lines around his eyes that came from years of not sleeping well. The dreams made sure of that. Every night the same broken images came to him. Fire, screaming, purple blood on his hands, and eyes. Strange, beautiful eyes that glowed like moons in the darkness. He never understood what the dreams meant. The military doctors told him he had suffered a severe head injury during the war. They said he was lucky to be alive. They said the memory loss was normal. They said many things, but none of it helped him remember. The door to his clinic opened, and old Mr. Park walked in, holding his back and complaining about the cold weather. Do-hyun smiled and put down his coffee. This was his life now, fixing small problems for simple people in a town that time had forgotten. It was enough. It had to be enough. He treated Mr. Park's back pain with some medicine and gentle words. The old man talked about fish prices and his grandchildren in the city. Do-hyun listened and nodded. He was good at listening. It was easier than talking about himself. After Mr. Park left, Do-hyun sat alone in the empty clinic. The television in the corner was playing the news. He usually ignored it, but today something made him look up. The Valari Empress will visit Earth next month, the news reporter said. This is the first imperial visit in 15 years, since the end of the Great Galactic War. Security preparations are already underway in Neosol. The screen showed images of the Valari people. They were tall, with bodies covered in hard shells that shone like jewels. Their eyes were large and dark, filled with colors that humans could not name. They had fought beside humanity against the Drakari Dominion. Millions had died on both sides. In the end, they had won together. Do-hyun felt something twist in his chest, a strange feeling, like hearing a song he should know, but could not remember. He turned off the television and went back to work. That evening, his sister called. Kang Yuna was 5 years younger than him, but she acted like she was his mother. She worried too much. She always had. You should come to the city, she said. It's not healthy living alone in that old town. You need to meet people. You need to live again. I am living, Do-hyun said. I have patience. I have purpose. You have ghosts, Yuna replied. You're hiding from something, and you don't even know what it is. She was right, of course. She usually was. But Do-hyun did not know how to explain that he was not hiding. He was waiting. For what? He could not say. 3 days later, a black car arrived in town. It was expensive and clean, completely wrong for the dusty streets. People stared as it stopped in front of Do-hyun's clinic. A woman stepped out. She wore a dark suit and carried herself like someone used to giving orders. Her name was Baek Ji-soo, and she said she was a director from the government's security department. Kang Do-hyun, she said, sitting across from him in his small office. Former combat medic, served in the 7th Human Valari Joint Fleet during the Nexar campaign. Discharged with honors after suffering critical injuries. Is this correct? You seem to already know the answers, Do-hyun said. Director Baek smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. I know some things, but there are gaps, large gaps. Your service record from a specific 6-month period is classified at the highest level. I have clearance to see almost anything, Mr. Kang, but I cannot see what you did during those months. Do-hyun shook his head. I was just a medic. I treated wounds. I carried stretchers. There's nothing special to hide. Then why is it hidden? Director Baek leaned forward. Someone very powerful decided that what you did should never be known. I need to understand why. I don't remember, Do-hyun said, and for once he was telling the complete truth. The injury took those memories. Whatever happened, it's gone. Director Baek studied him for a long moment. Then she stood and placed a card on his desk. If you remember anything, call me. And Mr. Kang, the Valari Empress is coming to Earth. I don't believe in coincidences. Neither should you. After she left, Do-hyun sat in the darkness of his clinic. The sun had set while they talked. He picked up her card, turned it over in his fingers, and felt that strange, twisting feeling in his chest again. That night, the dreams came stronger than ever. He was young again, wearing a bloody medic's uniform. Alarms screamed around him. The ship was dying, breaking apart in the cold darkness of space. He was running through corridors filled with smoke and fire, and then he found her. She was tall, even fallen against the wall. Her shell was cracked, leaking purple blood that pooled on the floor. Her large eyes found his, and even in pain, they were beautiful. So beautiful it hurt to look at them. She spoke in a language he should not understand, but somehow he did. "Help me, please, my children. They are dying inside me." Do-yun knelt beside her. His hands moved without thinking, pressing against wounds, checking damage. He was just a medic. He knew nothing about Valari biology, but he could not leave her. He could not let her die. "I'll save you," he heard himself say. "I promise." He woke up screaming, his sheets soaked with sweat. The morning light was cold and gray. His hands were shaking. For the first time in 15 years, Do-hyun understood that his forgotten past was not going to stay forgotten. Something was coming. Something he had started long ago in fire, in blood, and desperate promises. He looked out at the sea and waited for the storm to arrive. The sky above Neosol spaceport burned with light as the Valari ships descended. They were beautiful in a way that human ships could never be. Their hulls curved like shells, shining with colors that shifted between purple and gold. Thousands of people had gathered to watch. This was history. This was the future. Empress Ilvara of the Valari stepped onto Earth's soil for the first time in 15 years. She was 7 feet tall, her body covered in an iridescent shell that seemed to glow from within. Her eyes were dark pools filled with swirling light. She moved with a grace that made every human around her feel clumsy and small. Behind her walked her advisors and guards. First speaker. The San stayed close to her side. He was old for a Valari, his shell faded to a dull gray, but his eyes were sharp and suspicious. He did not like humans. He had never liked humans. He thought them loud, short-lived, and dangerous. But his empress had insisted on this visit, and he could not refuse her. Ambassador Nam Yunji greeted the empress with a deep bow. She was Earth's chief diplomat, a woman who had spent her life learning to smile while hiding her true thoughts. Today, her smile was genuine. The alliance between humans and Valari had saved both species. Keeping it strong was her life's work. "Your Imperial Majesty," Ambassador Nam said, "Earth welcomes you with open arms and grateful hearts." "Earth has always been kind to us," Empress Ilvara replied. Her voice was strange to human ears, like music and thunder mixed together. "We have not forgotten our shared blood, our shared sacrifice." The ceremonies continued for hours. Speeches were made. Gifts were exchanged. The news cameras captured everything. But those closest to the Empress noticed something odd. She seemed distracted. Her eyes kept moving to the distance, as if she was looking for something, or someone. That evening, in a private meeting with Earth's leaders, the Empress made a request that no one expected. "I wish to visit a small town on your eastern coast," she said. "A fishing village. I believe you call it Hagen." The room fell silent. Ambassador Nam checked her notes, confused. Hagen was nothing. A tiny place with no political importance, no military value, nothing worth an empress's attention. "May I ask why, Your Majesty?" Ambassador Nam asked carefully. The Empress was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than before. "I have personal business there. Business that has waited 15 years. I will not explain further." First speaker. Thesson stepped forward, clearly unhappy. "My Empress, this is most unusual. The security concerns alone." "I did not ask for opinions," the Empress said. Her voice was still soft, but there was iron beneath it. "I have made my decision." Far away from the politics and ceremonies, General Yoon Tai-woo sat in his office, staring at a report. He was a decorated hero of the war, a man whose face appeared in history books. But right now, he felt like a young soldier again, confused and afraid. The report said that the Valari Empress wanted to visit Hagen. Yoon knew that town. He knew it very well, because he knew who lived there. He tried to call Do-hyun. The call would not connect. He tried again and again. Nothing. Someone was blocking communications to that town. "What did you do, old friend?" Yoon whispered to himself. "What did you do that an empress would cross the stars to find you?" In Hagen, Do-hyun noticed the changes before anyone told him what was happening. Military ships appeared on the horizon, floating silently in the gray water. Soldiers in unmarked uniforms walked through the streets, talking to no one, watching everything. The townspeople whispered and wondered. Director Bayek returned in her black car, but this time she was not alone. Soldiers followed her into the clinic, their faces blank and professional. "Mr. Kang," she said, "you need to come with us." "Am I being arrested?" Do-hyun asked. "No, you're being invited to meet a visiting dignitary, but I suggest you don't refuse." Do-hyun looked at the soldiers. He looked at Director Bayek's carefully controlled face. He understood that he had no choice. "Can I at least know who wants to meet me?" Director Bayek hesitated. For a moment her mask slipped, and he saw something that might have been wonder or fear. "The Valari Empress," she said. "She traveled across the galaxy to find you, Mr. Kang. She has been looking for you for 15 years. The words hit Do-hyun like a physical blow. The dreams rushed back. Purple blood, beautiful eyes, a promise made in fire and darkness. "I don't understand," he whispered. "Neither do I," Director Bayek said. "But I think you're about to find out." They put him in a vehicle and drove toward the edge of town, where a landing area had been prepared. Do-hyun watched through the window as his simple life disappeared behind him. He thought about Mr. Park and his back pain. He thought about his sister, who would be worried when she could not reach him. He thought about the cold coffee he left on his desk, forgotten again. But mostly, he thought about the dreams. They were not dreams, he realized now. They were memories. Broken, scattered memories of something so important that powerful people had hidden it for 15 years. The vehicle stopped. Soldiers opened the door. Ahead, a building had been converted into a meeting hall, surrounded by Valari guards in gleaming armor. "Whatever happens," Director Bayek said quietly, "remember that you are still a citizen of Earth. You have rights. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Do-hyun nodded, but he barely heard her. His heart was beating too fast. His hands were shaking again, just like in his dreams. He walked toward the building, toward answers, toward a past he could not remember and a future he could not imagine. The doors opened and light poured out, bright and golden and strange. He stepped inside. The meeting hall was filled with important people, diplomats in expensive suits, military officers with medals on their chests, Valari nobles whose shells sparkled like living jewels. They all turned to look as Do-hyun entered. He felt small. He was wearing his old clinic coat, stained with medicine and years of simple work. He did not belong here, among these powerful beings who shaped the fate of worlds. A path opened through the crowd. At the end stood a raised platform, and on that platform stood the Empress. Do-hyun's breath stopped. She was exactly like his dreams, tall and magnificent, her shell glowing with inner light. Her eyes were dark oceans filled with stars. She was beautiful in a way that hurt, a way that made him feel like he was looking at something sacred. Everyone in the room bowed. Do-hyun, not knowing what else to do, bowed too. It was awkward and clumsy, and he felt his face grow hot with embarrassment. But the Empress did not seem to notice his clumsiness. She stepped down from the platform, ignoring all protocol. Her advisors made sounds of surprise. "First speaker?" Tassan moved to stop her, but she raised one hand, and he froze. She walked directly toward Do-hyun. The room was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The Empress stopped in front of him. She was so close he could see the patterns in her shell, swirling like galaxies. She looked down at him with those impossible eyes, and when she spoke, it was in perfect Korean. "Do you recall me, human?" The words hit him like lightning. Suddenly, the world shattered. Memories exploded in his mind like bombs. 15 years of forgotten moments came rushing back, and Do-hyun could not stop them. He was young again, 27 years old, a medic on the battleship Horizon's Edge, part of the 7th Joint Fleet. They were at Nexar Prime, a strategic point that both sides needed to control. The Drakari came from nowhere. Hundreds of ships hidden behind a moon waiting. The ambush was perfect. The fleet was torn apart in minutes. Do-hyun's ship was hit. Fires burned everywhere. The hull was breaking. He ran through corridors filled with smoke and screaming, trying to find survivors, trying to help anyone he could. He found her in the royal section of the ship. She was not the Empress then. She was the queen's daughter, the heir to the throne. Her guards lay dead around her, killed by Drakari boarding parties. She was slumped against a wall, her shell cracked in 3 places, purple blood flowing like rivers. And she was pregnant. Her egg sac, visible through her damaged shell, held her unborn children. They were dying. She was dying. "Help me," she had whispered in her own language. But somehow he understood. "Please, my children." Doyun had no training in Valari medicine. He had no tools, no support, no time. The ship was falling apart around them. Drakari soldiers were searching nearby, killing everyone they found. But he could not leave her. Something in her eyes, some desperate hope, made it impossible to walk away. He knelt beside her and got to work. He used everything he knew. He pressed emergency patches against her wounds. He injected human medicines that might help or might poison her. He held her egg sac with gentle hands, feeling the tiny lives inside, fighting to keep them warm and safe. The Drakari found them. 3 soldiers with weapons raised. Doyun put himself between them and the queen's daughter. He had only a small pistol, meant for emergencies. He was a medic, not a warrior. He killed all 3. He did not know how. Fear and desperation gave him strength he did not have. When it was over, his hands were shaking so badly he could barely reload. "You saved me," she had said, her voice weak but filled with wonder. "You saved my children." "Not yet," Doyun had replied. "We need to get out." He carried her through the dying ship. She was heavy, her shell weighing more than any human body, but he did not stop. He shot 2 more Drakari. He climbed through broken walls and burning floors. His lungs filled with smoke. His muscles screamed. Finally, they reached an escape pod. He strapped her in, made sure her egg sac was secure, and sent out a distress signal. Before the rescue ships arrived, she touched his face with one long, delicate hand. "I speak the oath to you," she said in her language. "You have saved my blood. You are bound to my blood. This debt will not be forgotten while stars still burn." Then the explosion came. Something hit the pod. Do-hyun's head struck metal. The world went dark. When he woke up in a human hospital months later, he remembered nothing. The doctors said he was lucky. They said he should be grateful. They gave him medals and sent him home. No one told him what he had done. No one told him about the queen's daughter or her children. That information was buried, hidden by governments who feared its implications. Until now. Do-hyun gasped and staggered. His legs gave out beneath him. He was falling, but he never hit the ground. The Empress caught him. Her arms were strong and surprisingly gentle. She held him like something precious, something sacred. "You remember now," she said softly. "You remember me." "I remember," Do-hyun whispered. Tears were falling from his eyes. He could not stop them. "I remember everything." The Empress looked up at the watching crowd. Her voice rang out like a bell, reaching every corner of the room. "This human saved my life 15 years ago. He saved the lives of my children when they were still eggs in my body. He fought enemies alone. He carried me through fire. He asked for nothing in return." She helped Do-hyun stand, keeping one arm around him for support. "He is owed a debt that empires cannot repay, and I will spend the rest of my reign trying to repay it anyway." The room erupted. Voices shouted questions. Cameras flashed. History was being made. But Do-hyun heard none of it. He looked into the Empress's eyes and saw the young queen he had saved. She had grown into something magnificent. She had become a ruler of worlds, and she had never forgotten him. "Thank you," she whispered, so quiet that only he could hear. "Thank you for giving me my children. Thank you for giving me my life." Do-hyun did not know what to say. So he said the only thing he could think of. "I was just doing my job." The Empress smiled. It was a strange expression on her alien face, but somehow it was also warm and real and full of emotion. "No," she said, "you were being human, and that is the most extraordinary thing of all." 1 week had passed since the meeting, and Do-hyun still could not believe where he was. The Valari diplomatic ship was the size of a small city. It hung in orbit above Earth like a second moon, visible even during the day. Inside, everything was designed for beings taller and more graceful than humans. The ceilings were high. The corridors curved like the inside of shells. Light came from panels that shifted colors like living things. Do-hyun had been given rooms near the royal quarters. They were beautiful and completely wrong for him. The bed was too large. The chairs were too tall. He spent most of his time sitting on the floor, trying to understand what his life had become. Every day, servants brought him food. Some of it was human food, prepared specially for him. Some of it was Valari food, which he tried to eat out of politeness. It tasted like nothing he could describe. Every day, officials came to ask him questions. What did he need? What did he want? Was he comfortable? Was he happy? He gave the same answers each time. He needed nothing. He wanted nothing. He was fine. But he was not fine. His memories had returned, but they did not fit with the person he had become. He was a village doctor who treated back pain and gave medicine to old fishermen. He was not a hero who saved empires. On the seventh day, the empress summoned him. She received him in a garden that existed inside the ship. Real plants grew there, from a dozen different worlds. Water flowed in streams that defied gravity, floating upward before falling down again. It was beautiful and impossible. The empress sat on a simple bench looking almost ordinary. Almost. "Sit with me," she said. "Please." Do-hyun sat. The bench was too high, and his feet dangled slightly off the ground. He felt like a child. "I want you to understand," the empress said, "what you did for my people. Not just for me, but for everyone." She told him things he had never known. After the war, her mother, the old queen, had died. Ilvara became empress, one of the youngest in Villari history. She had been carrying 2 eggs when she almost died. Those eggs had survived because of Do-hyun. "My children," the empress said, "they are the future of our species. Our royal line was almost broken that day. You held it together with your human hands." As if summoned by her words, 2 Villari entered the garden. They were young, their shells still bright with the colors of youth. The male was tall and curious, looking at Do-hyun with open interest. The female was smaller, her expression harder to read. They were Prince Kalin and Princess Yira, the eggs that Do-hyun had protected in his arms. "Children," the empress said, "this is Kang Do-hyun, the human who gave you life." Prince Kalin stepped forward immediately. He bowed in the human style, low and respectful. "I have wanted to meet you for so long," he said. His Korean was not as good as his mother's, but his enthusiasm was clear. "I have studied humans because of you. Your species is amazing, so short-lived, but so full of fire." Do-hyun did not know what to say. "Thank you, I think." Princess Yira did not bow. She stood back, watching him with eyes that gave nothing away. "So you are the one," she said, "the human who saved us." "I did what anyone would do," Do-hyun said. "No." Her voice was cold. "You did not. Most would have run. Most would have left us to die. You stayed. Why?" It was a question Do-hyun had asked himself many times. He thought about the young queen bleeding on the floor. He thought about her eyes filled with desperate hope. "Because she asked me to," he said simply. "Because she needed help. That's all." Princess Yira stared at him for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away without another word. "Forgive my sister," Prince Kalin said quietly. "She struggles with this. The idea that she owes her existence to another." "She owes me nothing," Do-hyun said. "Neither do you. I didn't save you so you would owe me. I saved you because it was right." Prince Kalin's eyes widened. "You truly mean that?" "Yes." The prince smiled, and for a moment he looked very young. "I think I understand now why Mother speaks of you the way she does." After the prince left, the empress spoke again. "In our culture, a life debt is the most sacred bond. It shapes everything. Politics, marriages, alliances. The debt I owe you has influenced my entire reign." "I don't want to influence anything," Do-hyun said. "I just want to go home. Back to my clinic. Back to my patients. And I will not stop you. But first I wish to give you something. A boon, we call it. A gift worthy of what you did." She offered him things that made his head spin. Wealth beyond imagination. Land on a dozen worlds. A title that would make him nobility in the Villari Empire. Ships, technology, power. Do-hyun refused everything. The Empress was not angry. She was curious. Then what do you desire, Kang Do-hyun? There must be something. He thought about it for a long time. He thought about his clinic and the people who needed him. He thought about the war and all the people he could not save. He thought about the years he had lost to forgotten memories. I just want to keep helping people, he said finally. That's all I ever wanted. That's all I'm good at. The Empress was silent. When she spoke, her voice was strange, soft and wondering. In all my years, in all my rule, I have never met anyone like you. You could have anything. You asked for the chance to serve others. She stood and looked down at him with those impossible eyes. Perhaps that is what makes humans so special. You do not seek power. You seek purpose, and you will sacrifice everything for people you have never met. She placed her hand on his head, a gesture that meant something sacred in her culture. I will think about your request, Kang Do-hyun. I will find a way to honor it. And you. She left him alone in the impossible garden, surrounded by plants from worlds he would never see, wondering how a simple village doctor had ended up at the center of galactic politics. He was still sitting there when Director Bayek found him hours later. You refused everything, she said. Every single gift. Do you know what those were worth? No, Do-hyun said. And I don't care. Director Bayek laughed. It was the first time he had ever heard her laugh. You know, she said, I used to think humans were just lucky to have survived the war, that we succeeded because of our allies, not ourselves. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's something special about us after all. She sat down beside him, both of them dangling their feet off the too-tall bench. What happens now? Do-hyun asked. I don't know, Director Beck admitted. But whatever it is, I think you're going to be at the center of it. Do-hyun sighed. He missed his clinic. He missed his cold coffee. He missed the simple problems of village life. But he was starting to understand that his simple life had never been real. It was just a pause, a breath between chapters of a story that was much bigger than him. And the next chapter was about to begin. A human had saved the Valari Empress. A simple medic had carried her through battle and protected her unborn children. The most powerful ruler in 12-star systems owed a life debt to a village doctor from a small planet called Earth. Some heard this news and felt hope. They saw it as proof that humans and Valari could be true friends, that the alliance born in war could become something more. Others heard this news and felt hatred. In the dark spaces between stars where the broken remains of the Drakari Dominion still hid, old enemies began to plan. They had lost the war, but they had not forgotten. They had not forgiven. Lord Vekran was once a respected noble of the Valari Empire. Now he was a traitor, hiding among Drakari survivors, selling his own people's secrets for protection. He watched the news about the human and the Empress, and he saw an opportunity. If the Empress dies, he told his Drakari allies, and the human dies with her, we can blame humanity. The alliance will shatter. War will come again. The Drakari commanders smiled with their sharp teeth. They had been waiting 15 years for revenge. This was their chance. On Earth, different enemies were moving. Colonel Shin Minho was a patriot. At least that was what he told himself. He loved humanity. He feared anything that threatened human independence. And he saw the Empress's attention to this Kang Do-hyun as a threat. An alien Empress crossing the galaxy for one man, he said to his followers. This is not honor. This is influence. She is buying our loyalty with pretty words about debt. She is making a human into her puppet. He leaked Do-hyun's information to the press, photos of the village clinic, details about his sister, stories that painted him as a collaborator, a man who had chosen aliens over his own species. The attacks came quickly. Angry messages on the networks, protesters outside Yuna's apartment, strangers shouting traitor at anyone connected to Do-hyun. Yuna called her brother, crying and frightened. What is happening? Why are they doing this? Do-hyun could not answer. He was trapped on the Valari ship, watching his sister suffer because of something he did not choose. General Yoon heard about the attacks and acted immediately. He sent soldiers to protect Yuna. He used his influence to fight back against Colonel Shin's lies. But the damage was already spreading. Your people are divided, First Speaker Thesson told the Empress. They argue about this human. Some worship him, some hate him. Perhaps it would be better to send him home. Let things calm down. No, the Empress said. He saved my life. I will not abandon him because some fear change. Your Majesty, Tessin pressed, the alliance is strong. It does not need symbols. It does not need one human elevated above others. You are wrong. The Empress's voice was cold. Symbols matter. Stories matter. The story of a human who risked everything to save a Valari queen, who asked for nothing in return. That story can change how our people see each other forever. She walked away, leaving the San alone with his worries. Princess Yira found Do-hyun in one of the observation rooms, staring down at Earth. The blue planet hung in the darkness like a jewel, beautiful and fragile. You look sad, she said. My sister is in danger because of me, Do-hyun replied. People hate me because I saved your mother. I don't understand any of this. Yira stood beside him. For once, her expression was not cold. I was not kind to you when we met, she said. I apologize. You don't need to apologize. Yes, I do. She was quiet for a moment. All my life, I have carried a weight. The knowledge that I exist because a stranger chose to help my mother. That my life was a gift from someone I never knew. It is hard to accept such a thing. Do-hyun understood. You feel like you owe something you can never repay. Yes. Then stop feeling that way. He turned to look at her. I didn't save you so you would owe me. I didn't even know who you were. I just saw someone who needed help. That's all. You don't owe me your gratitude. You don't owe me anything. Yira's eyes widened. You truly believe that? Yes. Then what should I do with this feeling? This weight I carry? Do-hyun thought about it. Live well. Be kind. Help others when they need it. That's enough. That's more than enough. For the first time, Yira smiled. It changed her face completely, making her look young and alive. You are a strange human, she said. But I think I am beginning to understand why my mother cares for you so much. Far away, Lord Vekran's plan moved forward. A servant on the Velari ship had been bought with promises and threats. He carried a small container hidden in his clothes. Inside was a poison designed to kill both Velari and humans. Just a few drops in the right drink, and the Empress and her human would die together. The servant was afraid. He did not want to do this. But his family was being held by Drakari agents. He had no choice. He waited for his opportunity. A banquet was being planned, a grand ceremony to officially honor Do-hyun and celebrate the alliance. Thousands would attend. The Empress would drink the ceremonial wine, and she would offer a cup to her human guest. They would die together, and the galaxy would burn. On Earth, Colonel Shin grew bolder. He met with others who shared his fears, planning ways to end the Empress's influence. They did not know about Lord Vekran. They did not know they were helping the same enemies who had killed millions of humans in the war. They thought they were patriots. They were wrong. Director Bayek worked quietly, gathering information. Something was wrong. There were too many strange movements, too many secrets. She felt danger coming, but she could not see its shape. She warned Do-hyun, be careful at the banquet. Something is happening. I don't know what, but something bad. What should I do? Do-hyun asked. Watch. Listen. Trust your instincts. She paused. You survived a Drakari attack once. You saved an Empress. You are stronger than you think. Do-hyun did not feel strong. He felt like a small man caught in currents too big to fight, but he nodded and prepared himself for whatever was coming. The banquet was 3 days away. The poison was ready, and the galaxy held its breath. Light fell from crystals that floated in the air like frozen stars. Tables made of strange metals held food from 100 worlds. Music played from instruments that humans had no names for. Thousands of guests filled the space, humans and Velari standing together in celebration. Do-hyun stood near the center, wearing formal clothes that felt wrong on his body. He was supposed to be the guest of honor, but he felt more like a decoration. People looked at him and whispered. Some smiled, some did not. The Empress sat on a raised platform, magnificent in ceremonial robes that shimmered like liquid light. Prince Kalen stood at her right side, watching the crowd with friendly curiosity. Princess Yira stood at her left, her eyes moving constantly, watching for threats. General Yoon was there too, wearing his full military uniform. He had insisted on attending, bringing a squad of his most trusted soldiers. If something happens, he had told Do-yun, I will not be far away. Director Beck moved through the crowd, pretending to be just another guest. But her eyes never stopped searching. The warning she had given Do-hyun still burned in her mind. Something was wrong. She could feel it. The ceremony began with speeches. Ambassador Nam talked about friendship between species. First speaker. Tasan talked about honor and duty. His words were correct, but his voice was cold. Then the Empress rose to speak. 15 years ago, she said, I lay dying on a burning ship. My guards were dead. My children were dying inside me. I had accepted that my story was over. The hall was silent. Every eye watched her. Then a human found me, a young medic who knew nothing about my biology, nothing about my importance. He saw only a wounded creature who needed help, and he gave that help freely, without hesitation, without asking what he might gain. She looked directly at Do-hyun. He carried me through fire. He fought enemies alone. He saved my life and the lives of my children. And when it was over, he asked for nothing. Not wealth, not power, not even recognition. He simply went home and continued helping others. She raised a golden cup filled with ceremonial wine. Today, I honor Kang Do-yun. Not because he saved me, but because he represents everything that makes humanity worthy of the stars. Their compassion, their courage, their stubborn refusal to abandon anyone in need. Servants moved forward, carrying cups for all the important guests. One servant approached the Empress. Another approached Do-hyun. Do-hyun took his cup and looked at the dark liquid inside. It smelled sweet and strange, like flowers that did not exist on Earth. Something was wrong. He did not know how he knew. Maybe it was the servant's hands shaking slightly. Maybe it was the smell, just a little different than it should be. Maybe it was the instinct that had saved him 15 years ago, waking up again. He looked at the Empress. She was raising her cup to drink. Stop! Do-hyun moved without thinking. He ran toward the platform, pushing through startled guests. Guards reached for weapons, but he was faster. He knocked the cup from the Empress's hands. It fell to the floor and shattered, spilling dark wine across the white stone. The hall erupted in chaos. Guards surrounded Do-hyun, weapons pointed at his chest. Guests screamed and ran. The Empress stared at him with wide eyes. He is trying to kill her, someone shouted. Wait! Princess Yira's voice cut through the noise. She had grabbed the servant who brought the Empress's cup. He was struggling, terrified. This one! Something is wrong with this one. Director Beck appeared beside them. She took a device from her pocket and held it over the spilled wine. The device made a sound that made everyone freeze. Poison, she said. A compound designed to kill both Valari and humans. Enough to kill everyone on this platform. The hall fell silent. The servant broke. He fell to his knees, crying, They have my family. They made me do it. The Drakari, they have my family. Before anyone could react, more chaos exploded. Hidden among the guests, Lord Vekran's agents revealed themselves. They had weapons that should not have passed security. They began firing. General Yoon's soldiers responded immediately. Energy blasts crossed the air like deadly light. Guests ran in all directions. Bodies fell. Do-hyun saw Lord Vekran himself, moving toward the platform with a blade in his hand. His shell was dull gray, his eyes burning with hatred. The Empress must die, Vekran screamed. The Alliance must burn. He was fast, faster than any guard could react. His blade swung toward the Empress's throat. Do-hyun moved. He did not think. He did not plan. He simply put himself between the blade and the Empress. The weapon cut into his side, slicing through flesh and scraping against bone. Pain exploded through his body, but he did not fall. He grabbed Vekran's arm and held on. His blood flowed, hot and red, but he did not let go. Not her, he gasped. Never her. Princess Yira moved like lightning. Her training, hidden until this moment, revealed itself. She struck Vekran with precise blows that cracked his shell. He staggered back, releasing his blade. Prince Kalen was there too, fighting alongside human guards. General Yoon led the counterattack, his voice booming commands. One by one, the assassins fell. Lord Vekran tried to run. Director Beck shot him in the back. He fell and did not rise again. The battle was over in minutes. It felt like hours. Doyun lay on the floor, his blood pooling beneath him. The Empress knelt beside him, her hands pressing against his wound. Her shell was stained with his red blood. "You foolish human," she whispered. "You saved me again." "Habit," Dohyun said weakly. He tried to smile, but his vision was going dark. "Stay with me. Do not leave. I command you to live. You can't command death. Watch me." Valari doctors rushed forward. They had technology that humans could only dream of. Devices that could repair flesh and bone, that could pull someone back from the edge of death itself. They worked on Do-hyun while the Empress held his hand. She spoke words in her own language, the ancient oath she had given him 15 years ago. But she added new words, words that had never been spoken to a human before, words reserved for family. The doctors worked through the night. The Empress never left his side. When morning came, Do-hyun was still alive. "You are stubborn," the Empress said when he opened his eyes. "So are you," he replied. She laughed. It was a strange sound, not quite human, but warm and real. The first time he had ever heard her laugh. "The assassins are dead or captured," she said. "The conspiracy is exposed. The Drakari remnant's involvement is clear. Our people will hunt them together, human and Valari. They will never threaten us again." "Good," Do-hyun said. He was tired. So tired. "Rest now," the Empress said. "You have earned it." She squeezed his hand gently. Her touch was cool and smooth, completely alien, but somehow comforting. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for giving me my life. Again." Do-hyun closed his eyes and slept. For the first time in 15 years, he had no nightmares. Only peace. Do-hyun stood at the window of his recovery room, looking down at the Valari homeworld for the first time. It was beautiful beyond words. Purple oceans stretched beneath golden clouds. Cities rose like crystal forests, their towers catching light and scattering it into rainbows. Ships moved through the sky like flocks of glowing birds. He had almost died. The blade had cut deep, damaging organs that human medicine could not have repaired. But Valari technology was different. They had rebuilt him from the inside, fixing damage old and new. The injury to his brain, the one that had stolen his memories, was finally fully healed. He remembered everything now, every moment of his life, clear and complete. It was strange to have his past back after so many years of fog. The door opened behind him. Princess Yira entered, wearing simple clothes instead of her usual formal robes. She had visited him every day since the attack. "You look better," she said. "I feel better." Do-hyun turned to face her. "The doctors say I can leave soon." "Where will you go?" It was the question everyone asked, the question he had been asking himself. "I don't know. Back to Earth, maybe. Back to my clinic." Yira shook her head. "You know that's not possible. You are famous now. The human who saved the Empress twice. Your village will never be peaceful again." She was right. He had seen the news reports. His story was told everywhere, on every world. Some called him a hero. Some called him a symbol. Some still called him a traitor. But no one could ignore him. "Then what should I do?" he asked. Yira smiled. "Come with me. My mother wants to see you." The Empress received him in a garden, different from the one on her ship. This garden was ancient, filled with plants that had grown for thousands of years. Water fell from floating stones into pools that sang with every drop. She was not alone. General Yoon stood nearby, looking uncomfortable in the alien surroundings. Director Baek was there too, along with Ambassador Nam and several Valari officials. "Kang Do-hyun," the Empress said, "I have been thinking about your request." Do-hyun remembered. He had asked for only one thing, the chance to keep helping people. "I have prepared a gift for you," the Empress continued. "Not wealth or titles, something better." She led him to a viewing platform at the edge of the garden. Below, in a landing area surrounded by smaller ships, something magnificent waited. It was a medical ship, but not like any medical ship Do-hyun had ever seen. It was huge, easily the size of his entire village. Its hull was silver and white, the colors of healing in both human and Valari cultures. It bristled with equipment for every kind of medical care. "The healer's oath," the Empress said, "named in your honor. It carries the most advanced medical technology from both our peoples. It has room for 100 patients and facilities for any treatment. It can travel to any world in the Allied territories. Do-yun stared, unable to speak. "This is my gift to you," the Empress said. "A way to keep your promise. A way to help anyone, anywhere, who needs it." "I cannot accept this," Do-yun said when he found his voice. "It's too much. You saved my life twice. You saved my children. You brought our peoples closer than any treaty ever could. This ship is nothing compared to what you gave me." General Yoon stepped forward. "The Earth government has approved joint staffing. Human doctors and nurses will serve alongside Velari healers. It will be a symbol of everything our alliance can achieve." Director Beck nodded. "And I have been assigned as the ship's security director. Someone has to keep you out of trouble." Do-yun looked at the ship again. He thought about his little clinic in the fishing village. He thought about Mr. Park and his back pain. He thought about all the people he could not save during the war. And he thought about all the people he could save now. "Yes," he said quietly. "Yes, I accept." The Empress placed her hand on his shoulder. "You will do great things, Kang Do-yun. Not because you seek greatness, but because you simply cannot stop helping others. It is who you are." Princess Yera stepped forward. "I wish to join your crew." Everyone turned to look at her. "The ship needs someone who understands Velari medicine and customs," she explained. "I have trained in both, and I wish to learn from the human who gave me life, if he will have me." Do-yun looked at her surprised. "Are you sure? You're a princess. You have duties." "My brother can handle the politics. He loves it anyway." Yera smiled. "I want to do something that matters. Something real. Just like you." Prince Kalen laughed from nearby. "She has been planning this for weeks. You might as well agree. She always gets what she wants." Do-yun looked at the Empress. She nodded slowly, pride in her eyes. "My daughter has chosen her path," she said. "It is a good one." A week later, the Healer's Oath prepared for its first mission. The crew was a mix of humans and Velari, doctors and nurses and technicians from both species. They worked together, learning each other's languages, understanding each other's medicine. There were problems and arguments and misunderstandings, but there was also laughter and friendship and hope. Yuna came to see her brother before the launch. She cried and hugged him tightly. "I'm so proud of you," she said, "but I'll miss you." "I'll come back," Do-hyun promised, "whenever I can, and you can visit the ship. There's room." General Yoon shook his hand firmly. "Take care of yourself, old friend, and take care of the galaxy too." "I'll try." The Empress came last. She stood before him, tall and magnificent, her eyes holding centuries of wisdom. "I spoke an oath to you once," she said, "on a burning ship when I thought I would die. I said you were bound to my blood, that my debt would not be forgotten while stars still burn." She reached into her robes and pulled out something small and metal. Do-hyun recognized it, his old military identification tags, lost 15 years ago. "I kept these," she said. "They hang beside my royal seal, a reminder of what you did, what you are." She pressed them into his hands. "Go now, healer. Go and show the galaxy what humanity can be. Not warriors or conquerors, but caretakers, protectors, the ones who run toward pain instead of away from it." Do-hyun held his old tags tightly. He thought about the young medic he had been, scared and confused, running through fire because someone needed help. He was still that person. He would always be that person. "Thank you," he said, "for everything." The Empress smiled. "Thank you, Kang Do-hyun, for teaching me that the smallest kindness can change the fate of empires." The Healer's Oath launched an hour later. Do-hyun stood on the bridge, Yera beside him, watching Earth grow small behind them. Ahead, the stars waited. Millions of worlds, billions of people. An infinity of suffering that one ship could never cure, but they could try. "Where to first?" Yera asked. Do-hyun thought about it. There were reports of a plague on a frontier world, refugees fleeing conflict in the outer systems, a mining colony where an accident had left hundreds injured. "Everywhere," he said, "everywhere that needs us." The ship jumped into hyperspace, and Kang Do-hyun began the next chapter of his story. Across the galaxy, in hospitals and battlefields, in places where hope was scarce and death was plenty, they would come to know his name. The human who saved an empress and asked for nothing. The medic who became a legend. They called him the Oath Keeper, and he was just getting started.